Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really fascinating cultural paradox, all based on the article, The Quivering Body. It's all about what our society decides is okay for us to see and what it demands we keep hidden. Okay, let's just jump right in with a little thought experiment. Picture this scene. You see? That ambiguity? That's the whole point. Thrill and desire are so much closer than they appear, and they both ask the exact same thing of us, to stay and to watch. And this right here is the central paradox we're unpacking. Our culture has drawn a very, very clear line in the sand. We've somehow made the spectacle of violence and death legitimate, but the spectacle of pleasure, well, that's still intimate. It's censored, and way too often it's completely taboo. So let's really get into this contradiction. Why is one kind of intense bodily reaction perfectly fine for our screens, while another gets shoved into the shadows? Well, this contrast really shows a wild double standard. You see, we've culturally processed horror. We've turned it into a safe, accepted form of entertainment to confront our fears. But pleasure is treated completely differently. It's still censored, seen as something intensely private. I mean, think about it. A movie can show gallons of blood and violence without anyone batting an eye. But the physical expression of pleasure, whoa, that's often hidden away, framed as this raw vulnerability that's just too much for the public to handle. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Despite these totally opposite cultural attitudes, horror and pornography share a deep, fundamental connection in how they actually affect us. And this connection is perfectly explained by a concept called body genres. The term comes from the scholar Linda Williams, and it describes films that aren't just for your brain to analyze. No, these are engineered specifically to provoke a direct, physical, and totally involuntary response from your body. And this just illustrates it perfectly. I mean, look at this. The goals are polar opposites. You've got fear versus desire. But the method, it's identical. Both genres are obsessed with the physicality of the body, the sounds, the skin, the breath, all to make your body the real star of the show, making it react before you even have a chance to think about it. Now, this powerful connection hasn't gone unnoticed by artists. In fact, many have intentionally blurred that line between these two reactions, creating something entirely new and, frankly, pretty unsettling. Just listen to this fantastic quote about the reaction to Clive Barker's horror icon, Pinhead. Barker thought his creatures were elegant and strange, but sexy? Yep, that's what audiences were saying. It just shows you how easily the wires for absolute terror and intense desire can get crossed in our minds. And this fusion of pleasure and pain gets explored in radically different ways. You've got an artist like Clive Barker who treats the body almost like a sacred, forbidden place, where horror becomes this transcendent gateway to a new kind of pleasure. But then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have someone like Edward Lee, who drags desire down into visceral disgust, using the body's deconstruction to make the reader's pure discomfort the entire point. So, if these lines between pleasure and pain can be blurred, is there a space in art where they just dissolve completely? Oh, absolutely, and it has a name. It's called the grotesque. This is where art intentionally blows up all the neat categories our culture loves to create. The grotesque body is an open system. It laughs while it screams, it finds pleasure in death, and in doing so, it exposes just how artificial our rules about separating fear from pleasure really are. And so many brilliant filmmakers have wielded this power. Just think about David Cronenberg. His films consistently eroticize bodily trauma and technology, forcing us to see the disturbing desire inside the machine. He, and directors like the others you see here, use the grotesque to force horror and pornography to shake hands in the dark. And this brings us all the way back to our original paradox. But now, hopefully, we can see it with a much deeper and, more unsettling understanding. So here's the real reason for the paradox. This double standard isn't an accident. It is absolutely by design. Uncontrolled pleasure is seen as genuinely subversive. It's a potential threat to the social order. But fear? Fear can be beautifully packaged, turned into a product, and sold right back to us in a way that makes it feel completely harmless. The true strength of the art we've been talking about, from Barker all the way to Cronenberg, is that it refuses to give us a simple answer. It forces us to stay in that uncomfortable gray zone where all our neat categories just fall apart, and the body is allowed to be an enigma again, both terrifying and desirable at the same time. And that leaves us with this final, provocative thought. These works show us that some things simply cannot be tamed or neatly packaged for our consumption. And maybe, just maybe, their refusal to be domesticated is exactly what gives them their most enduring and important power.